Hello friends, it's Heather, and today I'd like to share with you two seed packets that I created using images from the Graphic Fairy as well as embellishments from Pro 31 Designs. I have a pink one here that I'll show you first. I have my favorite flat back pearls and champagne at both the top and the bottom of my seed packets, as well as the ivory curly mulberry roses and the pink crystal flowers with the flat back pearl and champagne for its center. I used the beaded sprays in ivory to add little loops to my little flower and bow here on the side. I have my favorite Mayarts trim in green. I just love these little leaves, and you can find these in Esmeralda's store in ivory, brown, and gold, I believe, and it's really pretty. I'm hoping to get some of that soon so I can use them on my projects. I have some more of the champagne pearls here, as well as some vintage seam binding in like a turquoise blue color. Right, on this I used the paper from the Graphic Fairy, as well as two images as well from the Graphic Fairy. And one of them would be this frame here, which you can see, and then the other one would be the daffodils. And what I did is I used the program GIMP in order to create a digital stamp. So I used multiple layers, and I added the text Seeds of Friendship. So I'll bring this up a little closer, you can see the coloring too. There you go. And I did go over the edges of this here and the edges here of my paper with Old Photo Distress ink by Ranger, as well as some liquid pearls in a pink color. Not sure which pink I used. I'll have to look that up and I'll put it below. Okay, now I have the same digital stamp, and this one I colored in turquoise colors, but I have all the same embellishments from the Pro 31 Design store and a different button on this side, as well as the vintage silk lace, well, not lace, silk thread that I got from my friend Sandy. Her blog is Maximum Embellishment. She comments on my blog. You can find her stuff there. She's got really fun stuff. She collects a lot of really cool stuff. I also used the Ranger's liquid pearls again, and this time I used, I believe it's called Peacock is the color, and I just put little dots of it here and there. Okay, I wanted to show you how I come to make these kind of things here. Lots of people are like, how do you do this? How do you make your, use your digital images? And so first I'm going to show you this paper here, which is a template which I created in Inkscape. And then I just used a crop tool in order to just have it be the shape of my template or cut line that I created in Inkscape. You'll see I have these little dots with the lines, and these are called registration marks. Anybody that has a Cameo or a Silhouette SD or the links, and I'm not sure what the other ones are called, but mine is Black Cat Cougar. It will read these little marks, and then it will cut out around my cut line, which would be right around the edge of this. Now when I print these out, I don't print out my cut line because I don't want to see the little red line. I do my cut lines in red. So when I print this, I just print the image itself and not the cut line. But when I go to cut it out, I send my cut lines from Inkscape to Sign Cut, and it cuts them out. Okay, I wanted to show you my seed digital stamps that I created here, and you'll notice that again I've got the registration marks so that they can be cut out in with my Black Cat Cougar. So I just wanted you to get a nice close-up of these little daffodils. They're so cute. Okay, now what I didn't mention before is that I colored each of these using my new Spectrum Noir markers that I received from Pro 31 Designs. They're a lot of fun. So I'm going to show you real quick how I did a little bit of my coloring here on my packets. So let me just get these out of the way. And I've got a piece of cardboard that I'm going to color on because I am just using American Crafts cardstock, and it's quite, it absorbs the paper or the ink quite well. So Esmeralda has some paper in her store though that will, the marker color just kind of stays on top, so it's really nice for blending. So mine's going to absorb more, so you don't get quite as much play as you would if you had the other paper. So I'm going to start out with DG number 2, which if I bring this up, you can see it here. And it has a gray little band here, and that lets you know that you're using the fine tip without having to read it. And then you'll notice that the broad tip doesn't actually have any kind of a color around the band. So that way you just know when you're looking at your marker, hey, here's the gray, that's the fine tip. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my fine tip. And let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here real quick. You'll hear my family in the background because I'm just using the microphone on my camera instead of using my headset because it was getting too much feedback. So I'm going to go ahead and start coloring right here, this leaf in the back. And I'm just going to color all the way down to the bottom here, come back up with this color. And then I'll go ahead and just set this to the side. And now I'm going to get DG number 4. And again, I'm going to use the fine tip. And I'm just going to simply put a few dots here where I feel the other leaf that's in front would shadow the leaf behind it. I'm going to go back and grab my DG number 2, and I'm going to make some little circular, just touching the edge of that other color and pulling it up, and kind of doing the same thing, rounding and pulling it down, and just carrying this all the way down. So it gives you the slight like illusion that it's going to be behind the other leaf. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to color the other leaf too that's in front. And I'm just going to simply outline. And I'm tending to color the way I would if I was painting. So I would base coat and then shade and highlight. That's just how I would do things. So you may find a way that works for you. This happens to work for me, or at least I'm happy with my results for the most part. I'm going to go ahead now and just add a few little dots here at the bottom. And you'll end up not being able to see my letters O and F very well, but I'm okay with that. And I'm going to go ahead again and just kind of give this a little little rounded coloring and come back up. And so now that'll give you a little bit of shading there. Now, just for fun, I'll go ahead and just color in right over here, one side of the grass at the bottom. And I'll just fill this in. And then in order to do my strands of grass, I'm going to start here at the base of the grass and just flick my little marker up. So there you go. And the reason I'm doing it this way instead of starting here and coming down is because I'm going to be lifting my pen. So when I start, my starting point is going to leave a little dot, but I'll flick up and it tapers to nothing. Where if you started at the tip of your blade of grass and came down, it would be a fat dot at the top and then thinner at the bottom, and you don't really want that. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side as well. Just real quick, color this in and give some little flicks so it looks like the grass is kind of going everywhere. And I'll go ahead and color in the center part as well. Okay, now I'm going to take my that was DG number 2, by the way. I'm going to get my DG4 again. There we go. And I'm going to make some little dots here at the bottom. And also right here. And then I'll use this marker, the DG2 again, to just do little circles right at the edge, just touching it barely to give it a little blended look. So you can go back and add more color if you like, or less if you want less. And then to start on my daffodils now, this is going to be the white daffodil, and the way I did that was I actually used my DG number 2 to do some shading on the white flower. So So let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more here so you can see the flower. Okay, I think that's as good as I can get. Okay, and I'm just going to add a few little dots here where the, oops, I kind of goofed there. So let me, I don't know what I was thinking. Oops, and I just used a darker green. That was crazy. Totally crazy. I didn't want a green center. See if I can kind of get rid of that a little bit. We'll see what happens. I am using what's called the blender tool. And that's upside down. Here we go. See if I can get that to zoom in. Apparently not. Okay. I guess it's really tiny little writing, but let me start this over. So I got this green DG2, and I'm just going to go here and around the little edges of the center of my petals that reach the trumpet part. Now I'm going to use the blender again, and this time I'm going to do the blender on the rest of the petal, pulling the green out toward the edges. So some little circles and then pulling it toward the edges, and this way the leaves will stay white, but they'll have just a tiny bit of shading on them, you know, minus my big mistake I made there in the center. But I'm going to go ahead now and use the PP, let's see, actually I think I used PP number 3. Here we go. For my center of my daffodil. Actually last time I'm going to color in the whole daffodil with this pink, and actually you just barely see the green. It's not so bad. And now I'm going to use my darker pink in the PP number 5, and I'm going to just add some little dots here at the base of the trumpet of the flower, and then do some inside as well, so it gives it the illusion of depth there a little bit. And I'm going to go back with my lighter pink and just kind of go around the edges to make it look a little bit more like it stands out. And I'm going to go back with my dark green here, and I'm going to just simply fill in this little stem here in the dark green. I could do all my stems in the dark green actually. So now I'm going to go ahead and put my caps back on here for a moment, partially anyway, so that I don't dry anything out because I'm under these big lights here. And now I'm going to show you really quick how I did my background. So for the turquoise one I used BT2, and I'm just going to simply show you real quick. I'm going to just color in around these areas here, around my flower, around the leaves. Here we go, so that you can see that the petals will end up looking white with the green highlight, or shade, I'm sorry. Let's go around this leaf a little bit. Here you go. Fill in down here. There we go. And then if you wanted to, you could use this blender to make this to go on top of your pink here that kind of bled out. And the thing is, mine is going to bleed more because the paper is textured, and it's and it really absorbs it and soaks right in. So that's something that won't occur if you're using the other paper, where it just kind of sits on top. Okay, now let's grab another area here at the top, because I want you to see how I did this here at the top. And I simply just colored in. You can use your fine tip to color in, or you can use the broad tip on the other end, which is right here. And you can just, you know, color in this way, which I'll just do real quick, some coloring here. And let's see, give it a minute here. Okay, now I'm going to take BT4 and use the same tip here, the fine tip, and I'm just going to put some little dots. Just do like a little roll here. And then I'm going to take my BT number 2 again, and I'm going to simply just go right up along that edge, just barely touch the other color, and do the same thing on the other side. So when it dries, it'll look a little bit more faded out like it does here. And so it kind of gives you this shading type effect. Okay, I did the same things in the areas here. You see where I used the darker color and the lighter colors. And then I did go over, like I had mentioned earlier, using the Ranger's Distress Ink and old paper, and that just gave it a nice other dimension to it. So let's see. Let me see. I was gonna say, let me really quick look at this color. Okay, this is CG number 1, and I'm just gonna simply go over my green leaf because I want it to have a little bit more of a yellow color. And so it'll look a little bit more yellowy when I do this. So here we go. There's that. And so that kind of gives you an idea of how I did my coloring. So I think I'm just going to leave this at that so you kind of get the idea of what I was doing. And if you have any questions, you can send me a message. Thanks, and thank you for watching my video. Oh, actually, here's a rose I did earlier, just kind of for fun. Let me zoom out on here. Let's see. So you can see it from a distance. Let's kind of change how it looks here. It was just a plain little round digital stamp that I found for free at the Graphic Fairy. And I printed it out. And let's get you close up. I did really faint lines so that I could just pretty much color it and not have too many of the lines show. And I just did some green leaves, and I added a little red to the tips to give it a little bit of a, you know, highlight. And then I used, where the areas look like they're kind of a real light pink, I used the blender tool to remove some of the color to give it like a highlighted look. So from a distance it looks more like a pink color, but when you get like right up close you can see that it's just a removal of the color. I think that was kind of fun. So that would make a cute center for a card. Actually, like if I were to turn that over, it would even look kind of pretty right there on the back, I think. So, all right, again, thanks for watching my video, and go check out the Spectrum Noir markers at Pro 31's Designs. Thanks, bye.